Hello, and how's everyone doing today? Welcome to Justin Talks Games. I haven't done one of these in quite a long time, actually. Mostly because the weather hasn't been very good, and I like to make these videos, when it's nice outside and stuff. So, there's a couple of things that I wanted to touch on. Some remakes on Resident Evil games that I've seen people talking about what they want, but I'll be making those in separate videos. I want to do one on Resident Evil 0, maybe do one on Outbreak. I keep hearing people say they want Outbreak, and I keep seeing people say they want Veronica. And 0. I've seen a couple of Resident Evil 0s as well. Now, I want to touch on Code Veronica today. It might be a little controversial, but there's some things I want to touch on for Code Veronica. So I think the first thing is, if they were to remake Code Veronica, it wouldn't be the same, like the original, like everybody thinks it would be. It would be different, and there would be some things that would be changed, and a lot of people don't really recognize or realize that. I think they just we want Code Veronica. I think they just want to see Code Veronica and the new game engine and the new gameplay and all that, which is completely normal, and that's great because it'd be pretty fun to see that. But what people don't realize is Code Veronica is different. It has themes that the other games don't really touch on very much, and for that reason alone so when it first came out, it didn't sell very well. It didn't sell very well at all. But later on in the years, it started to pick up and it became a fan favorite. It's one of my favorites. I love Code Veronica. I've loved it since the very first day I played it. But unfortunately, to others, people didn't like it when it first came out. And then it eventually grew to this big, massive success. Eventually it blew up and it was very big. Capcom still doesn't really, I don't want to say they don't recognize it and stuff, but they don't really talk about it. They're remaking Resident Evil 4. They haven't come out and said it, though. There were leaks, last year? A little before Resident Evil 8 came out, there were a bunch of leaks that showed that there was a Resident Evil 4 VR coming out, and of course they talked about that came out. There is a remake of Resident Evil 4 coming, but apparently that's next year. I don't know. Anyways, so for Code Veronica, I think it'd be great. I would like to see that, but again, people have to realize that there are some things in that game that won't be there. The biggest change that I can guarantee you that they're going to make, if they do remake Code Veronica, is that they're going to change Alfred. There's no way in this day and age, unfortunately, that they're going to let that storyline fly. Because I'm just going to say it, and if you guys get offended, if you don't like it, you can dislike the video. That's fine. Everybody is so offended super easily these days. And how do I say this? If you disagree with something, it's instantly bad. It's instantly canceled. It's instantly this and that and all these terrible things, and it's sad. But Alfred's story is definitely going to be altered in some way. I can guarantee it. Because he had a mental illness. Let's just come out and say it. He did. He had multiple personality disorder. He talked and dressed up like his sister. It's unfortunate the reason why he was like that. It wasn't because he was always just instantly crazy. The reason he was like that was because he was on his own for I think it was 15 years. Yeah, 15 years, I think it was between 15 and 20 years. I'd have to go back and play the game again to get an exact number, but between 15 and 20 years he was literally by himself. The only family he had was Alexia, was his sister, who he was very, very close to, and it was the only person that he cared about. His father, Alexander, was used as a test subject as Nosferatu. I'm not too sure what happened to Alfred, or Edward, I think yeah, Edward with the father, grandfather. Yeah, Edward Ashford with the grandfather, Alexander with the father. So yeah, I'm not too sure what happened to Edward, but Alexia used Alexander as a test subject, and then Alexia decided to basically infuse her body with the T. Alexia virus, or T. Veronica virus. I mean, so she basically put herself in stasis for a good 15, 20 years, something like that. And then he got very lonely, and he developed this personality that he was talking to Alexia, and he would dress up and talk to her and stuff like that. I don't think that would fly in today's gaming world, in today's world in general. I mean, game developers don't like to take risks anymore. They are very, very careful in what they do. I think they could take Code Veronica, and if they were to remake it exactly how it was, which I have a feeling that's how Resident Evil 4 is going to be, or at least close to it, because I know they started to remake 4. The reason why I'm saying this, they started to remake 4, and then what happened was the outcry from Resident Evil 3 remake, rightly so, was very bad. It sold very well, but the reception, not so much. It did not get a good reception. It may have sold well because people were expecting, hey, Resident Evil 3, it's going to be amazing. Because they said all these things before, like they said it's going to be open world, you're going to have to be exploring. Nemesis is going to be more active than the Tyrant in Resident Evil 2, and none of that was true. He was very scripted, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, I'm getting off track, kind of. So they cut a lot out as well. Anyway, the reason why I'm kind of going off, because I remember I talked about Resident Evil 4 a second ago. So they were going to remake Resident Evil 4. And so that got put on hold, and that got reworked because of the outcry on Resident Evil 3. It didn't do very good, like I said. They were going to take liberties and pretty much do whatever they wanted with Resident Evil 4. And for the longest time, I'll admit, I was happy with that. I was like, oh, they're going to take Resident Evil 4 and they're going to make it better. Because in my opinion, Resident Evil 4 is fun to play. It's fun to play, it has nice action sequence, and it has some nice quiet sequences, but it doesn't feel like Resident Evil. That's when Resident Evil 4 changed its direction. But anyways, I'm still getting off topic. So they were going to change a lot in Resident Evil 4, and I was very happy about that. But then I really got thinking, and I'm like, you know, that's kind of, that's not right, not fair for me to say that I want all this stuff changed in a game just because I don't really enjoy it. That'd be like me saying, well, I didn't like Resident Evil 3 before, so I'm glad they made these changes. Well, no, because then it's not faithful. So I can't hate on Resident Evil 3 for being different if I enjoyed Resident Evil 4 if they made it different. That wouldn't be fair. So they went back to the drawing board, and anyway, they're reworking 4, and it's going to be closer to the source material. So that's great. You know, I'm glad that we're going to have something that's a bit closer to source material. They may somehow try and tie 3 make into Resident Evil 4. I mean, they kind of did with that online game. I can't remember what it's called. But basically they said that the Nemesis Parasite, the Alpha Parasite, was like some knockoff of the Parasite in Europe. Anyways, the reason why I brought all that up is because, well, who knows if Resident Evil Veronica would be faithful? Would it stay true to how it was, or would they chop a lot out? And because of the outcry of Resident Evil 3, I want to assume that Veronica would stay the same, but like I said, one major change though would definitely be Alfred. They would not keep that. They would maybe say he went a little bit crazy and that's why he dressed up. Maybe make him act crazy, maybe act insane. But in my opinion, they would change that core story to Alfred to what kind of made him what he was in that game. You know, he was very, you got to kind of see in his mind a little bit that he was lonely, and, you know, and even reading the notes and stuff, You know, they did a good job. It was a bit wacky. It was very different than any other Resident Evil game at the time, but that's what made it special. It touched on things that, you know, the other games didn't, you know, and I enjoyed that. But the way how society is now, I don't think that they'll keep that in. I think that they would change it. They would not have him dress up. They would not have him have the personalities. They wouldn't. I think they'll take away the mental illness from him. To be completely honest, I don't think they would keep that, which is unfortunate because it's a very big part of his character. You know, and it's too bad. Other things too, I think they would cut down on some things as well. There's a lot of back and forth in Veronica, especially in the beginning area. They would probably chop that down a bit. Because I know there's a lot of you have to grab some things and you have to go all the way back to the beginning area, even though when you're like all the way back, when you're at like the, I guess like the training facility or the army area, whatever you call it, you know, and you have to go all the way back to the beginning area kind of thing. I think they would cut that out as well. They would definitely tone down the knife. I do apologize if you hear a lot of noise in the background. There's you know, a soccer practice going on in the background there. But yeah, like it's definitely not going to be the same. I think they're going to tone down the knife for sure, because the knife in Code Veronica was definitely crazily overpowered. Like, a zombie comes at you and you slash the knees like 2 times, and he would literally just go boom, he'd fall down, and then once he fell down you'd just keep slashing, and he wouldn't get back up. There's like a 0. I don't know, I'm gonna say 0.2% chance that zombie's gonna get back up. Once he gets knocked down, you know, you're basically in the clear, you're good, you know, to kill him. I can see them toning that down because the knife was super overpowered. But that's one of the things that made it fun. Actually, I have to be honest, after I beat that game with the knife, I don't really kill zombies with knives anymore, or with guns anymore. I mean, if there's lots of them, yes, I will. But because of how powerful that knife is, it's almost pointless to waste ammo on zombies. Because zombies take about, I'm gonna say, 5-6 shots maybe, and even then they get back up, right? So, you know, but if you slash with the knife or take them down, and you keep going like that, you're basically good to go. So I think they would definitely tone down the knife, that's for sure. For Wesker would be an interesting one. I would really like Richard Waugh to come back to do Wesker, because I think he did an excellent job in that game. But I definitely can't see that happening for sure. It would probably be DC Douglas, or it'd be somebody new coming in. And I didn't mind Douglas, but he made Wesker more rough around the edges, where Wesker is actually this calm, collected individual who he knows his power, and he isn't afraid to demonstrate his power, but he'll only do it if you anger him, kind of thing. Like, you know, he won't just walk up to you and be like, boom, you're dead. Like, he won't kill you right on the spot. He'll just look at you, talk to you, and he'll just look at you, and you'll be like, all right, I'm good. Kind of like if you look at like Code Veronica, actually, is a perfect example. Wesker's walking up the stairs and he's talking to Claire. She makes a comment about Chris, and that's when he grabs her by the jaw and throws her to the floor, because she angers him. He didn't instantly go to kill her, because he was walking, and he walks up the steps and he's talking to her. And yeah, you know, and she said, oh, well, blah blah blah, Chris. And then that's when he's like, I despise Chris. And then that's when he attacks her, right? So, you know, I don't know how that would go over well too, you know, because it's a woman or a guy hitting a woman. I mean, I don't know, they'll probably chop that out too, and probably have an explosion or have something happen and him be like, oh, and say something stupid or whatever, and then have them separate or something. I don't even know. They'll probably chop that out too. I really love to see the Chris and Wesker fight in the new graphics. That would be pretty cool. Especially seeing Wesker's burned face. Like that's one thing that like what really showed Wesker's regenerative abilities, especially in Resident Evil 5 or 4. If you look at Code Veronica, right, back in '98, and then his face is all burned up, and then and then in like 2005, yeah, 2005. So that's only a couple of years later, right? His face is perfectly fine, and it's really interesting. I'm not too sure what else to say about it. I really wanted to address that though, because I know people, and I see people saying all the time, "Go Veronica Remake, go Veronica Remake." But people got to realize though, as much as we heartfeltly love that game, as much as we enjoy it, it's not going to be the same. It's not. There's going to be changes because of how society is now. Like I said, Alfred's going to be one. The interactions between Wesker and Claire, that's going to be another one. They may even take that out altogether. We don't know. We may have somebody else capture her, and they may change that whole thing up a little bit. I don't know. Another thing that I really wanted to touch on as well too is Alexia's Veronica form. She has, some like bug wrappings and stuff on her body, covering the breasts area, and whatnot. So I can see them changing that as well too, because people will be like, "Oh, that's inappropriate. It's basically just covering nipples, blah blah blah." She's a monster, right? I mean, who really cares? Like she mutated, right? And it's not like, okay, yeah, she's naked, but I mean, to an extent, you don't see anything. Whatever. So I could see them changing that. I mean, but then again, look at Resident Evil 6, right? And I don't like Resident Evil 6. I'll admit that. Even Capcom is trying to be like, Resident Evil 6. No, that's not cool. Because they even made fun of it in Resident Evil 3 Remake with a poster called Disaster, and it's literally just a cut and paste picture of Resident Evil 6's promotion art, literally with the zombie hand out like this and the two people aiming their guns, and they just replaced Leon with someone else and they called it Disaster. It was hilarious as hell. I remember when I saw that, I laughed. But anyway, the reason why I bring up Resident Evil 6 though is if you look at Helena's sister, well, that was actually very sexualized. Looking back at that, because I played it recently on the channel, and I was like, oh boy, the way she's literally touching and groping herself and all that. And she was naked too though, but that's the point I was trying to get at. She wasn't wearing anything either. Again, you didn't see anything, but the question is, would they be faithful even though it was like that though? Like Alexia was naked, and she had almost like feathers, or no, sorry, almost like leaves, like leaves or like and stuff like that wrapped around her, because her whole thing was ants. So my question is would they keep that as well? But I don't think so. I think that's something that they would also change too, because people would cry out and probably be offended as well. And same with her third form. Her third form, the big bug one, people took the 3D model and looked, and it looks like a woman part from the bottom. The part where she's sitting in, people zoomed out somehow and took the 3D model and looked at the whole entire thing. This is before she starts flying around, and that's what that looks like. So I can see them changing that. And the part where she flies around as well. She's obviously topless and stuff like that, and her boobs are kind of out there as well. Again, obviously there's no nipples or anything like that, but she's flying around, and I can see them changing that as well. Like I said, there's gonna be a lot of changes to Code Veronica, and people aren't gonna be happy. I think they should just leave Veronica alone and not remake it, in my opinion. I mean, yes, it would be amazing to see it in the new graphics, and to see Wesker in the Reach engine. I always call it the Resident Evil engine, and it's not. It's literally like Reach for the Moon or something like that, but I always call it Resident Evil engine. I don't know why. it would be awesome to see those fights in the Reach engine. It would awesome be cool to see Wesker in those things, and you know, and Chris, and a younger Chris in that engine and everything. It'd be very cool, yes, and I would enjoy that. But the cons kind of outweigh the you know, the pluses, right? I mean, you have a main story thing, a big, heavy main story thing, with Alfred being changed. You have Alexia's forms most likely being changed also. You have a lot of the back and forth being chopped out, so probably the side missions will probably be chopped out. Because believe it or not, there's actually side missions in Code Veronica. They're small and very few between, but there are. There's one where you go and give some medicine to a guy, and you get, I think it's like a lockpick or something like that, which replaces your lighter, so you can unlock things later on. You can bring the fire extinguisher with you to get the Magnum later on. If you don't bring the fire extinguisher from the island, well, you won't be getting the Magnum. It's stuff like that I can see them changing, because people would get frustrated and mad that, oh, I don't get the Magnum, or I don't get this, just because I didn't do that. They probably expand it and give you both the lighter and the lockpick. You know, it's little things that they would change. You know, and like I said, you know, it's not all good. I mean, I'm not saying that it would be a garbage remake, because say they do change those things, it could still be good if they change those things. There could still be some good in there. You know, like I would love to see it in the Reach engine. There's no denying that. But like I said, because of the pros and the cons cons are kind of like, you know, changing main story stuff and overall changing and boss designs or character designs. You know, I'm not really for that kind of thing. You know, but I don't know. But other than that, that's all I really want to say is we'll talk about Resident Evil 0 on another episode, because like I said, I'm going to be doing a couple episodes. I mean, it's cooling down, the weather is getting a bit nicer. It was pretty hot, and it's been windy for the last long time, and that's why I haven't been doing videos. At least Justin Talks Games. That, because, well, there's nothing to talk about. But the last few days, few weeks, even longer, I've really wanted to talk about the Code Veronica remake that everybody says that they want, and I really want to bring these attention. You know, I want to bring these up to attention. I can't talk properly, but basically I want to bring these things, you know, up to speed and tell people, like, look, yes, you guys want a remake, but it's not going to be the remake you want, and it's going to be different to an extent. Yeah, the places may look great, but it's going to suffer from these, you know, things as well. I want to do a Justin Talks Games on a Resident Evil 0 remake, because people want to do 0. I see people say they want 0. And they want to see Outbreak, but I don't want to milk this for any more, you know. So hope you guys enjoy this video. Let me know if you guys do or not, and I will definitely talk about 0 and Outbreaks and all these other remakes that I've seen people want, and give my opinion on them and stuff. Until then, I hope you all have a great day, and I will see you guys in my next video, whichever it is. And until then, peace out.